Moo. Hi, all you happy people. This is Sully with the COVID hair just rocking out. I swear, I feel like an 80s, I would say heartthrob, but I'm just a throb. You know how it goes. I mean, shoot, we gotta be real. And I wanted to bring something happy today, but I looked yesterday and the FCC fined Hobbyking $2.8 million. And I was thinking, like, it's Hobbyking, who cares? And then it dawned on me, oh crap, it's Hobbyking. And they were fined for selling VTXs that were not certified, reached into bands that they shouldn't have been reaching into, which I believe most of us who have some Chinese parts probably have this type of VTX that does the E bands that you shouldn't be using because they're restricted. If you're an American, anyway. If you're American. If you're international, I don't know what your laws are. I'm sorry. I don't know. I do miss the days of a little bit of lawlessness in the FPV community, if you know what I mean, because there's that thing, you know. Back to the Hobbyking thing. I was thinking like, oh, it's Hobbyking. I haven't bought from Hobbyking in years. They used to be the only, I do love running my hands through my hair, but they used to be the only supplier for many people in FPV, and their prices used to be good. And they're still competitive, just not as great as they were because there are so many others, like Race Day Quads and blah, blah, blah. Had a live stream last night and was looking around some of the places. And yeah, it just dawned on me that any VTX over 1 watt, there aren't that many, but AKK sells, but they don't sell to the US, so they're very smart there. But it just hit me, analog video, for all its greatness, and it's still preferred option for many, especially if you're doing big races and stuff like that. It's in a lot of trouble because what I was saying in my previous serious video was that the things that will kill this hobby are not the FAA. They have laws and rules, but you have to be a jerk to be noticed by the FAA. But the FCC and local regulations and everything, that's what's going to be detrimental. And that's where we're sitting right now. So analog, it's not that it's dead, but if I were selling analog on the US shores, I would be rethinking it because you're selling to amateurs. Unless they have a ham license, they probably aren't legal. Once you open yourself up to FCC scrutiny, their fines are monumental. So $2.8 million to Hobbyking sounds like, you know, it's $3 million to a business, who cares? But then you look at it and Hobbyking doesn't make millions. So I don't know what they're going to do. And it's already too late for them to stop selling whatever it is, which they have to do anyway. And the fine has been levied. So unless they work out a deal or file bankruptcy, I don't know. And what that's going to end up doing, it's going to push down other sellers to where they'll start looking at what they're actually selling and realize they're open to lawsuits too. And I don't think Race Day Quads could deal with a $3 million fine. And I don't think that Rotor Riot could deal with a $3 million fine. The FPV community in the US could easily be dropped by a lot of these makers because it's just not that huge of a market to risk what you're doing. Which is why I was saying, whenever you're out flying, you pretty much have to be the best ambassador you can be. If you have a great community, on the one hand, if you have a great community, and they're, you know, gung-ho and they want to help, which I believe people like Rotor Riot, I think they're looking at, I know Zoe's running for the FAA board, at least one of the advisory boards, and those will make huge differences to show that the community itself isn't the threat, but you still have things like the FCC, and you still have things like local municipalities restricting airspace just by restricting public lands from which you can fly without a lot of help. The hobby's going to be really hard to sustain. And that's not doom and gloom, that's reality. So I wish I had something happy today. I'm feeling it. Other than my hair, now this stuff is sweet. And but otherwise, yeah, I'm just not seeing yeah, there's not that much bright side to Hobbyking getting fined. And if you think it's just Hobbyking, believe me, any of these pieces, like, think about it. If you have a VTX and you just have a software lock, so like let's say AKK sells a 1.6 watt VTX internationally and a 1 watt to the US. Okay, and that 1 watt's legal, totally fine. But that's probably just a soft lock, or they're underrating what the actual wattage output is. And I believe a lot of VTXs underrate what they do. Especially whenever the heat doesn't quite match up to the rating, like a 25 watt or a 25 milliwatt transmitter that puts out 10 billion freaking, like, it's hot and for no reason, unless you measure it. And if you measure it, you might be surprised at what you get sometimes. Most of them overrate, thankfully. At least in this case, thankfully. Not thankfully if you pay extra money to be, you know, to buy the big power VTX. At least legally, if they underrate or overrate, then they're not liable. But again, if it's just a soft lock or if it's a simple thing, the FCC can investigate and determine that you're still selling illegally, even if you are selling legal, mostly because you may not have been certified. And that's a huge deal too. So yeah, if I were getting in right now, this would definitely push me to digital with DJI. At least they have inroads. But yeah, right now, it's like time to stock up on some VTXs. If you're going to stick with analog, at least get enough to get you through a few years, or until until digital becomes a lot more stable and a lot less expensive. But that's it for today. Thank you so much. I wish I had happier things for you. Good grief. FCC, man, you don't mess with those because they even fine freaking the NFL. So come on, yeah, they will make some changes. They also have a lot of time on their hands, so you know. But anyway, if you like this, like, subscribe. Thank you so much. If you got the COVID hair rocking, let me know. Because, I mean, look at this. I swear, I'm like, man, whew, it's the 90s again. But thank you so much. Y'all have a good time. And keep the props on the right side up and take care.